What's good, gamers? It's Trayvon. Let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes people tend to make as Ironman. When you're starting out as an Ironman, getting food is going to be incredibly important. At first, you might be tempted to focus on getting things like lobsters, monkfish, or even sharks. Don't do this. If you're going to be fishing, the thing you should be fishing is karambwans. They're faster to fish compared to sharks, and they only heal 2 hit points less. Not only that, but they're way more AFK, and eating them only delays the time you can attack again by 2 ticks instead of the normal 3 ticks. People also use them to combo eat, meaning you can eat karambwans immediately without any delay if you eat another type of food before it. If you need higher tier food outside of fishing directly, boss drops are more than enough. There's also the new deep trawling activity that came with sailing that allows you to get fish that have different effects when eaten, like yellowfins that heal 19 hit points and restore 20% run energy. Not keeping up on your herb and birdhouse runs is just screwing over your future self. I'm not saying that you have to do like 3+ herb runs per day and a birdhouse run every hour, but you should at least do a couple of these a few times a week for supply upkeep. Not even just for supplies, but herb lore training in general has gotten easier with Varlamore thanks to the Mastering Mixology minigame. In this minigame, you get more experience per herb. I feel like with questing, you either love it or it's one of the worst things about the game. Whether you hate it or not, you absolutely cannot deny the huge benefits it gives any account. This can range from training methods to travel options. Refusing to quest early on is a mistake that is 100% a gameplay experience that isn't worth having. You'll be stuck wasting time having to train the early levels of skills yourself instead of just doing a quick quest to skip the really early portions of certain skills. The waterfall quest is a big example of this. The quest takes like 10 minutes and instantly takes you from level 1 attack and strength to level 30. The Kingdom of Miscellania is usually recommended for passive herbs and the logs for future construction XP. If you have it all set up and ready to go, do not try to have it going if you don't have a decent way to steadily make GP. I made this mistake starting out and it sucked me dry. Not even in the good way either, to the point where I was completely broke until I started doing CG and high level Slayer. After completing all the quests to get it set up, it's recommended to keep a minimum of 750k in the coffer, and it will also take 10% of the current holdings per day, which is going to be 75k. Also, huge shout out to my Ironman money making video if you need some tips. It's official. Barrows is dead. If you're camping this before completing the Mauritania Hard Diaries, then you're missing out on over 50% additional runes you could be getting. After that, the only real reason you should be doing Barrows is just for the Mauritania Elite Diary, which requires you to have a full set. It's just not worth spending time here anymore. If Barrows is fun to you, then you should go ahead and do it. No one's stopping you, and I won't make fun of you. But if you're just trying to get some gear, just go straight to Moons. The dupe protection there is huge, which saves you a ridiculous amount of time compared to completing a Barrow set. Even comparing the sets, using Arims as an example, which I still see people recommend and I have no idea why. The only difference between it and the Blue Moon set is that Arims has more melee defense bonuses, not to mention the skirt weighs like 11 kilograms. Blue Moon has the same exact magic attack bonuses, weighs 4 times less, and also includes strength bonuses. This means you can use it as a hybrid set for melee and magic, reducing your switches and letting you take in more supplies during PVM. It's crazy, but another mistake I see people making is not being subscribed. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can fix this immediately. Getting your first Amulet of Glory is a huge milestone on an Ironman. It has great combat bonuses, no combat requirements to actually wear, and a lot of useful teleports to get around with. Seriously, I forgot how much of a hassle it is trying to get to places like Draenor without one of these. A big mistake that people often make regarding glories is leveling Hunter instead of crafting to try to get their hands on one. This is a massive noob trap. If you decide to level Hunter to get a glory, you're going to have to rely 100% on RNG to get one. From the RNG of finding a dragon imp, to the RNG of actually getting the glory when you actually catch the thing, not to mention all of the bots you'll be competing with.
Pushpaw07,
85 Hunter again. Man, I love seeing all these dedicated new players. RuneScape is a sandbox, and since it's a sandbox game, you're gonna have to make your own goals. Making the mistake of not having any clear goals is a recipe for boredom, but also slow account progression. If someone can't decide what to do, the first goal, and many other people recommend, is the quest cape. Why do we recommend this? It's because quests offer huge benefits to any account, it's realistic to get, and you can make clear progress every day. Lately, I also like to recommend Ladlore's chart. The chart was curated by Ladlore and the Ironscape community. It's essentially just an Ironman gear progression chart that's based on being as efficient as possible. Since it's focused on being efficient, it's not intended for new players. I don't follow it to a T, but I use it more as a guideline for what I might want to pursue next. Also, it's really satisfying just to mark things off when you've completed a grind on the chart. Stressing about efficiency. It's a mistake that leads straight to burnout. For the most part, I'm personally a player that likes to be efficient most of the time, but if you just want to chill, then you shouldn't worry about doing sweaty methods for anything. This can range from training methods for skilling or just certain strats when it comes to bossing. A good example of this is actually Yama. It would be the most efficient thing to just melee the entire fight, and using one of the fly methods on phase 3, I watched a lot of videos on some of these methods, and I just thought, nah, I'm just gonna use mage. It's way more chill. Generally, for anything in this game, the most efficient method is the one that doesn't make you want to quit. Not realizing that Ironman mode is long-term is a mistake that has caused a lot of the classic WoW streamers to just straight up quit the game. I remember watching one of their streams, and the streamer was talking to the other WoW streamers about raiding together. I don't remember the entire conversation besides one small sentence that stuck out to me. When we all have T-bows. They were completely unaware of the journey that was ahead of them. Not all of them, but most of them. It's not even really solely about the T-bow grind itself, really. It's just the amount of time this mode really takes, no matter what it is you're doing. In terms of PVM progression, there's such extreme variance at the speed you'll progress that it's not realistic to progress with your friends at similar rates, maybe unless you're a group Ironman. Some were getting spooned in CG and heading to God Wars, and others were still using an Idlatl, farming moons, and low Invo Toa for weeks, even though they started the game close to the same time. You can't rush anything. It just isn't possible. Grind tunnel vision. It's when you start a grind and do nothing else until you finish that grind. I see this mistake a lot when people get to CG and start grinding it for a BOFA. Some people have over 2,000 KC without a single enhanced seed, and that's all they've done. Their gameplay is CG. RuneScape is CG, and that's it for months, maybe even a year or more. For skilling grinds, I could tunnel vision those because I could easily AFK at work and do more active training methods while watching movies, but PVM is a completely different beast. You never know when the grind will end, if ever, because I've been seriously going for a T-bow since August of 2025. I've nearly reached 1,000 KC, and once I reach it, it's very possible I could be here for another 1,000. But while Cox is definitely my main focus, I like to sprinkle in a couple of other grinds, ranging from Doom to Yama, and even some Tob. Speaking of Tob, are there any toppers in the comments? No, really, a scythe would be great for Cox, add me. But for real though, rotating through multiple grinds will be key to your survival. Stuck in CG? Just do a few per day, then do Slayer. You'll get it eventually without having the PTSD from being stuck in a red room for weeks. Not having a community is probably the most fatal mistake you could possibly make. Look, I know the motto for Ironman is "We stand alone," but I would encourage you to find some sort of community. Like, sure, you can't do most content with other people as an Ironman, but the content we can do with others can actually be really enjoyable. Recently, I started learning Tob, and it made me realize how much I missed group content in my MMO. You don't even necessarily have to do content with other people. Just finding a group of people that you can interact and share each other's experiences with really does make the game way more enjoyable. And those are some of the biggest mistakes I think people make as an Ironman. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more Ironman content. I'll see you in the next one.